team-wise, where are you guys at? How's the?
I like our team. They're ready to play. I wish we had another day of practice. Most coaches would probably tell you that. But I think it's time for us to play. We've got a lot coming at us the rest of this month, and so our preparation today and tomorrow will be incredibly important, because when we're in the Virgin Islands, it's not like we're going to be able to practice a lot. And then when we get back, it's Thanksgiving, and then we got another game. And so these last 2 days of practice are really important, but their spirits are great. Their energy has been fantastic. Last weekend was another building block that was positive on a lot of different levels. And so I'm excited about where we're at. This is our 17th practice, and we continue to string good ones together, which if you can continue to do that over a long period of time and get to 100 practices, then that probably means that you're playing past spring break, and that's what you want to do.
How does the development to this point compare to the development at this point last season?
Yeah, way ahead. Way ahead. I think we're ahead in every way, and that's not to be negative towards last year's players. Last year's players, the reason we were behind, those same guys that were behind then, the reason we're ahead now is just because they understand what we're doing. You know what I mean? We have those guys that were awful November the 9th of last year kind of understand what November the 9th of this year is supposed to be about. And you can't quantify the value of people just kind of understanding what's happening. Not necessarily a drill, just more the nuances and the ebb and flow of what we do on a daily basis. And so much of what we do is not specifically tied to practice on a day-in, day-out basis. It's what are we doing in study hall, what are we doing in tutoring, where are we at with our classes, where are we at with injury prevention with Ernest, where are we at with our workouts, because they're all individualized with Todd. All those things tie together at Marquette. And I wish that sometimes we could separate them, but you know, we have to practice. We have no rhythm to our practice times because of the academic environment at Marquette, which is a good thing, but it's difficult when you have 2 seniors and 3 freshmen, and the class schedules are all over the map. And so, you know, what time we practice this Monday is not necessarily what time we'll practice next Wednesday. But most state institutions, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we go at this time. And, you know, like at Pitt, they practice every day at noon, period. Well, that's a heck of a deal. But that's not where we're at. And so it's not always just about practice. It's how everything that we do leading up to and what's after practice ties to that day.
How difficult is it that you can't get into a routine like that?
Well, we've never been in a routine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's what I tell our guys. Our guys don't know any different. They're unsophisticated when it comes to that. When you wake up, we're going to be working, and when you go to bed, you'll be really tired from our work. So regardless of whether practice was at 5:30 in the morning or 5:30 in the evening, they still know that we're going to work. And the expectation level of their study hall and their prep time with Todd and with Ernest, all that stuff stays the same. It just kind of changes pieces and parts throughout the day. And in some ways, that's good because it never gets stale, because everything changes daily.
You had the 2 closed-door scrimmages. Are you more likely to do that in the future other than having the exhibition? And do you like where your team's at, opposed to last year when you had the exhibition against a inferior opponent, and now you played some Division I programs?
I think there's great value in doing the scrimmages. That's not to be negative towards the value of having an exhibition, but number one, when you play an exhibition, you have to play a non-Division I opponent, and because there's so many non-Division I institutions in Wisconsin, and because I'm not from Wisconsin, I would want to be judicially fair to all of them, and I don't know that I'll be alive in enough time to have played all of those teams. That's number one. Number two, when you scrimmage, the NCAA doesn't restrict how long that you get to work, nor the arrangement that you have with the coaches that you're working with. We were scheduled to play different, am I allowed to say the names yet?
Yeah.
We were scheduled to play in Omaha at an NCAA regional site against Kansas State, which we did, and scheduled to play USC here, just because I'm close with KO and close with Frank. And so the philosophically, relative to how we work, I knew that that would be a great mix. And It didn't work out with USC, and so we ended up having to scramble to play at George Mason. So I would say the negative about playing 2 scrimmages this year is both of them cost a lot of money. So fiscally, it wasn't responsible on my behalf. But as long as we can play scrimmages, I believe that the value of those scrimmages far outweigh the value of playing an exhibition game. It just means that the first 6 or 8 minutes on Friday night, our guys haven't had that experience. So hopefully we'll handle that in the right way, but I anticipate some of those guys to be fairly anxious.
Which newcomer have you been most impressed with so far?
I've really liked all of them. The problem is Todd missed the first 9 practices, and then Juan missed practice 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And so we have only practiced twice with all 12 guys suited up. And because of how hard we go, you know, there's a big difference between having 11 guys and having 12 guys. A lot of the stuff that we do defensively and offensively is 4-on-4. And so, you know, when you have 12 guys, you got 3 groups of 4. When you only got 11, somebody is getting run into the ground. And so hopefully we can string together, like I was saying, I wish we had another day of practice. I wish we could have 4 days of practice this week with all 12 guys, because that impacts on several different levels the efficiency of what we do in practice.
Everyone healthy now?
Yeah, so far. Like I said, yesterday Juan and Ty were able to participate, and the injury report that I got this morning, everything was full go today, so I anticipate we'll have 12 again today. It's, for some reason, I haven't been able to figure it out through 18 years. The closer games get, the healthier guys become. You know what I mean? Guys always get hurt in boot camp, and then when it's time to play a game, they're like, I'm fine, boss, I'm fine. So.
You got starting 5 yet?
No, I'd still go with the 3 that I said. I'll start Van, I'll start Jay, I'll start Chris, unless they just completely fall off the map.
Is that Van or DJ?
Was it DJ?
You said Van right now, but did you?
I'd start Van today.
Okay.
So is that 4? Who did I say?
4.
You said
Got
Jay,
4.
DJ, Chris, Jay, DJ.
Chris will start, Jay will start, DJ will start, Van will start.
So Van's the starting point guard?
I don't know. Depends on who the 5th guy is. If the 5th guy's not a point guard, then Van would be the point. If the 5th guy's a point guard, then Van would be a perimeter player.
Well, Junior kind of said he's starting.
Yeah.
Junior, when you start talking about unsophisticated guys, he's at the top of that list. And I want all of them to think they're starting. We haven't done any kind of breakdown work where, hey, those are the starters and these are the subs. We try to make it as competitive as possible, as much as possible. So we haven't done any of that. I may tell them Friday at some point. I want all of them to think they're starters, prepare as if they're starters, work as if they're starters.
On Friday, will you be rotating in and out a ton like you did at the beginning?
I hope so. You know, potentially I think that we can have more guys play more meaningful minutes, more meaningful possessions more often this year than we've had in the previous 3 years. In a perfect world, if everybody stays healthy, I hope that we can do that. And I would like to do that for sure on Friday. You know, those guys need to play. You know, and we're still relatively young. You know, when you only have 2 seniors on your roster, that you are young. So the more opportune times that you can give young guys meaningful possessions, if you were looking at it from an investment portfolio standpoint, you want to keep investing in those guys. You know, we continue to do individual workouts throughout the year. Very few programs do that. But it's because that's why we have signing day. When we were recruiting you, we committed to making you the absolute best that we can make you. And that doesn't go on pause just because the season's in play. We got to still continue to develop those guys. And if you look at the 10 seniors that we've had since we've been here, prior to this year, I think that it speaks to that. It's hard, though, when you add in all of those things, the factors about the schedules, it's hard to find gaps and moments and periods of time. Guys, we're doing individual workouts right here, and we're going to work on this part of your game. But I just think when you can continue to invest the compound interest of that as their career unfolds, they're better than you ever thought they would be, and they're better than they even thought they would be. And those guys typically have a morphed impression of what they really are. But the more that you can work with them and they realize where they need to get better, I just believe in that. You make those guys individually better, now all of a sudden collectively you become better. And it may not show November the 9th of this year, but it may show November the 9th of next year when we're playing in Maui, or vice versa.
That it?
Jay has said he wants to make himself a more perimeter-based player. What's your thought process on that?
Every guy that's played his position has been a pro. So, if you really study all the touches that those guys get within how we play, they touch the ball more than anybody on our team. Touch the ball more than the point guard. Way more. And that's not conclusively why they've all been pros, but that has a lot to do with it. And he's going to be that guy for us this year. You know, again, it's just that just tells you how players think the game. How oftentimes do you catch it when you're not deemed a perimeter player? Because the guy that's guarding you, they think you're a perimeter player. So that just, you know, kind of goes back and forth. But we've made a living. We've won 69 games, a lot based on that guy. You know, Jimmy was that guy, Czar was that guy, Wes was that guy. And Wes said how we played changed his game. It didn't change his game. He got to touch every possession. What position was that? I don't know. It just looked like he caught it at the top of the key a lot. Same thing happened to Czar. And when Czar was drafted, well, what position is he? I don't know. Where does he get stuff done? I don't know. He catches it a lot at the top of the key. You know what I mean? And that was the year we were picked 12th and then finished 5th, and everybody said, well, you should have won, Buzz, because you had a pro. Well, nobody said that before the season. Same thing happened with Jimmy. Jimmy was the 82nd ranked player in his state 5 years ago. Now he was one of 30 in the world. Why? What position was he? Everybody said he couldn't shoot. Well, he was in the top 15 in the country in most efficient offensive players. Why? Well, he caught the ball at the top of the key a lot. Catch the ball at the top of the key, there's no help. You can't help when the ball's at the top of the key. When the ball's in the middle of the floor, you better guard your own man. So, and why was Jay so good last year? Caught the ball at the top of the key. You know what I mean? And he'll do a lot of that this year.
What exactly do you mean when you say that guy?
That guy that played that spot. Is that a perimeter spot? Is that a post spot? Is that I'm not sure if you have a position spot. What position was Wes? What position was Czar? What position was Jimmy? What position is Jay? You know what I mean? You win with those guys. What position is Kevin Jones at West Virginia?
Forward.
Exactly. Just a really long dude that's hard to guard. You know what I mean? Is he a point? No. Is he a post? No. Well, can he play in the post? He guards the post. You know, a lot of guys say that who you guard is what position you play. So, what position was Jimmy? Well, he was guarding Kimbo when we played at UConn. Well, he was guarding Rick Jackson at the Carrier Dome 2 years before. You know what I mean? So, that guy just depends on what the lens that you look through, I think.
Thanks.